It is the 26th of February 2023 and this is Sunday Express. Tonight, would you actually sell off your teen daughter or underage daughter if you like to feed the rest of your family? It may be a rhetoric question tonight. However, it is the sad truth about communities in Kajiado County. Details to follow on our special report tonight. But first things first, the highlights. Into the blue economy. The government targets 100 billion shillings revenue by revamping operations at Lamu and Mombasa ports.
This ruling is not only repugnant but also despicable, sinful, immoral, and against acceptable Kenyan culture and natural order.
Supreme Court ruling granting right of association to the gay community sparks controversy, with evangelical leaders seeking its interpretation. 300 families that fled the bandit attack in Samburu are yet to return home. And drought fuels early marriages in Kajiado. Good evening, this is Sunday Express. I'm Regina Manyara and our sign language interpreter is none other than Lancer Odingo. Now, President William Ruto has committed to commercialize Lamu Port and expand the Mombasa Port with an aim of multiplying its revenue. Speaking in Lamu, the head of state said the port has the potential of generating 100 billion shillings annually from the current 30 billion shillings. President Ruto has also promised to install fish landing facilities from Mukowe to Vanga at a cost of 3 billion shillings.
President William Ruto has been the coast region rolling out its development plans, including the Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone, as well as engaging communities on the need to exploit the blue economy. Speaking at an interdenominational service at Mukowe, Lamu, the head of state committed to boost the productivity of Lamu Port, which currently generates 30 billion shillings, to generate 100 billion shillings annually.
Tuhakikishe ya kwamba vile tuna develop Mombasa ndivyo tuna develop Lamu Port, na tuko na soko kubwa ya Lamu Port kwa sababu tunataka kuunganisha Lamu na South Sudan pamoja na Ethiopia vile ilikuwa imepangwa as a lapset corridor.
The president explained his plan to invest 3 billion shillings in setting up fish landing ports along the coast where value addition will be done before selling the fish.
Tumekuja na shilingi milioni 50 ya hawa beach management committees ya hapa Lamu, na hiyo ni awamu ya kwanza. Tumepanga karibu shilingi bilioni 3 ya hiyo kazi ya kuhakikisha kwamba wale wavuvi wote, na tunataka tuwasaidie ili wawe na mbinu mpya, wawe na vifaa mpya, tuhakikisha kwamba ile rasilimali tuko nayo hapa katika bahari tunaitumia kukuza uchumi wetu na kuhakikisha kwamba tuko na chakula ya kutosha.
The president also committed to deliver his promise of settling the squatters in Lamu County by acquiring lands from absentee landlords.
Captain Rueda, usikuwe na wasiwasi ya kwamba pengine wale walipiga kura namna hii, sijui walipiga kura namna gani. Wakenya wote wanalipa ushuru, na mimi nitahakikisha kwamba tunashughulikia Wakenya wote bila ya ubaguzi.
The national government will work with county governments in setting up industrial and aggregation parks where farmers store their produce awaiting favorable markets. Yishu Kawashira, Sunday Express.
Now, Kenya needs $500 million, approximately 63 billion shillings, to mitigate the current drought. The First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, is therefore calling for collaboration of global partners to address the crisis.
The hill village of Losait in Kajiado County played host to the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, who is in the country, among others, to assess the food security situation in Kenya. The First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, will interact with the residents, listening to their challenges, and later called for collaboration of global partners to cushion those affected.
But we cannot be the only ones. We need to have other countries join us in this global effort to help these people of the region. And unfortunately, there's the war in Ukraine, there's the earthquake in Turkey. I mean, there are a lot of competing interests. But obviously, here, livestock people are starving.
The U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, underscored her sentiments, painting a picture of the situation in the ground.
Malnutrition, we heard a story of a woman who thought her children were okay. She took them, and all of them were diagnosed with malnutrition.
Dr. Stephen Jackson, the UN resident coordinator, says $500 million is needed to mitigate the situation in 2023 alone.
We think that there are going to be 6 million people in Kenya in need of urgent life-saving assistance in 2023. This is the 6th rainy season that will fail in March, if that's what happens.
World Vision National Director Gilbert Kamanga also pointed to an increased rate of school dropout due to drought.
Ensuring that children remain in school by providing school feeding programs, but also building dormitories for the children.
For JSS student, junior secondary school, has had a dismal, about only 50% of the learners reporting to school.
Over the past 6 months, we've been implementing a program we call Lisha Jamii, which is providing cash transfers of 6,500 shillings.
The residents who were elated by the visit of the U.S. First Lady, hoping that a solution to the perennial drought can be found.
Tulikuwa tunalisha mambo ya ng'ombe na sasa ng'ombe imeisha. Sasa tunangoja, tunaomba Mungu atusaidie.
And we have hope that she will do more in our lands.
The current drought situation has been ongoing for the past 3 years, with the situation made worse by persistent consecutive seasons of failed rains. With the visit of the First Lady of the United States, Tungata Taek, here in Kajiado County, the residents now only hope that the globe will now turn its focus and give lasting solutions to the drought situation. Serafina Robi from Kajiado County.
As a parent, guardian, or even ward, would you imagine a situation that would force you to marry off your underage daughter to feed the rest of your family? Well, the drought situation is indeed having a serious impact on the Maasai community in Kajiado County, and it has led to the deaths of thousands of cows and crops that have dried up in farms. Some families are now feeling the pressure to marry off their girls for an income. A 14-year-old girl was forced to run away from home after her uncles wanted to marry her off. Marie Nyambu was in Kajiado County to see how the drought is impacting young girls.
The Maasai cattle market in Kimana, Kajiado County. The herders come here each week to sell their animals. On a good day, a bull can fetch up to 70,000 shillings. These are the lucky ones to survive and fetch an income. Climate change is changing things. The Maasai are losing their source of wealth at an alarming rate. By the end of last year, the county lost close to half of its livestock.
So it's really making us not feel good.
Nelson Ngeda is a Maasai community outreach worker.
We depend on animals. Now all animals are dying, then we are worrying about how our life will be.
For him, climate change is personal. He's lost 15 of his own cows. Nearby, the Kimengelia River is dried up. The land is parched. All this is having an effect on families.
Hodi.
It's been especially hard on poor women and girls. 37-year-old Nasha Pai, not her real name, used to work in this maize farm in Oloitoktok near her home. She earned 300 shillings a day to cater for food and school needs for her 3 children. But all that is now gone with the drought.
Sasa huwezi kununua chakula, siwezi kuenda kununua chai na kitabu. Kama ni mtoto mgonjwa siwezi kupeleka hospitali.
And it's not only her source of income that is gone. She used to sleep here with her daughter. But her 14-year-old daughter ran away. When the money ran out, the uncles came calling. They were looking to marry her off for an income.
Sasa nakwambia mimi wewe utajua sababu ukileta tu ukisikia tu hata kama ni gisa sisi tapeana hii mtoto hata bila sisi tutadiwa hii mtoto taenda kupeana.
With this kind of pressure, some girls are scared and are running away from home and finding shelter in rescue centers. The Nice Place Foundation near Amboseli National Park is home to over 39 girls. Most of them are Maasai from the surrounding area. Some are rescued from early marriage, others are here for training as girl rights advocates. Nasha Pai's daughter now calls this place home. She has food and a bed to sleep on, and she's escaped early marriage for now.
Nilifeel tu vema na nilisema bado mimi sasa mimi nikipeanwa hakuna kile ndaweza kujisaidia na mama yangu tu hata hiyo ng'ombe akishakula haitakuyemsaidia itaisha kwa hiyo siku arudi tena kwa shida.
The uncles had already identified a suitor for her.
Alikuwa anatarajia kupata ng'ombe ili yani mama atajirike sasa.
Kelly Mwende is the project officer in charge of the safe shelter at the Nice Place Foundation.
In this area, when a girl reaches a certain age, she's considered ripe for circumcision, and after circumcision, she's seen mature to be a wife.
But Kelly is afraid that if the drought situation continues, the numbers will increase.
In our community, they only need 5 cows. 5 cows, sugar, blankets. Then it is over. Then you are married off.
Margaret Naneo is also at the shelter. She is a 19-year-old whose father was paying her school fees until all of his cows died.
And together with my grandfather, they plan to circumcise me and to marry me off. Because girls in our community, they are less valued more than boys.
Nice Place is giving her a second chance. She's doing an internship here at the Kimana Health Center, pursuing her dream of doing social work. We went to Nairobi to ask the county representative some questions about what's happening. Dr. Laina Mpoke is the acting county executive committee member for gender, culture and wildlife in Kajiado County. He was here to discuss water scarcity in his county with the senators.
It's a very sorry situation. For the first time, we have had 4 consecutive seasonal rain failures in the county.
FGM and even early marriages is illegal in Kenya. My question to you then would be what are you doing about it?
A lot of these dilemmas are not just focused on government doing something. It is a concerted effort of everyone to try and address the problem. We do have clear guidelines for chiefs, policies, and we have a system where the chief can actually act to apprehend those that are causing this, not just early marriages, but even FGM.
Both FGM and child marriage have been illegal in Kenya since 2001 when the Children's Act became law, but the law is not always enforced. And now, the drought situation is rolling back efforts to prevent early marriages and FGM. Nasha Pai says the area chief will give a protection from the uncles.
Sasa chief juzi ndio kuelezea mimi nimekuambia mtu kukuja kuchukua wewe upigie mimi simu hata amepatia mimi namba. Talent yangu ni kama naona ni kusuka. Acha niende kuendelea na hiyo nione ile Mungu atanipatia ili nikuje hata mniokoe kwetu.
The girls can also rest assured of their safety. Maria Ambo reporting for KBC News in Kajiado County.
Sadia. We hope that government as well as private sector needs to intensify its efforts in mitigating the effects of drought. Now, on to politics. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition has criticized the government for the creation of more public offices, saying this presents another tax burden to taxpayers. This comes days after the High Court ruled that the Chief Administrative Secretary position was constitutional, allowing for the expansion of the executive. Wycliffe Okech reports from Trans Nzoia County.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition took its public consultative forum to Trans Nzoia County on Sunday, kickstarting the day's activities with a church service at Christ the King Mitume Catholic Church. Here, Odinga told the congregation to remain steadfast and fasten their seatbelts, saying the journey to Canaan was on course. The leaders then held a public forum in Kitale town where calls on the government to work on the cost of living dominated the speeches.
Kenya Kwanza must be first to direct all resources towards making life livable for all our citizens. That we support the demands for immediate reduction of the prices of basic commodities and services, including unga, sugar, petrol, diesel, paraffin, transport fare, and school fees.
Tunasema pesa ya Kenya itumike kufanya yale maneno italetea Wakenya faida, lakini sio mambo ya kubinafsisha mali ya Wakenya.
The beckoning formation of the electoral body IEBC also finding its way in the remarks.
We support calls to stop Kenya Kwanza regime from single-handedly picking the new commissioners of the IEBC and ensure the exercise is done in consultation with other players and stakeholders.
Haiwezekani ikiwa wewe ni referee, huwezi kuwa your own referee in your own court. This is why wakati moja kulikuwa na IPPG, Interparliamentary Group, ambayo ilisema hata watu wakati wa upinzani na waliokuwa mamlakani wakatoa watu ambao walisimamia na kutoa makamishna ambao walisimamia uchaguzi. This is why 2002 was just the most democratic election.
The judiciary also got its share of the criticism by the opposition leaders who claimed the CAS position was an extra burden to taxpayers.
Wamepanga vibaraka vyao, watu walianguka kura hapa kina Chris Wamalwa ati wanaenda kupatiwa Chief Administrative Secretaries, wanaenda kulipa bilioni 2 kila mwaka. Bilioni 2 tunaweza kuchukua mahasla milioni 2 hapa, tuwapatie kila mtu kazi, tumlipe 1,000.
The leaders who accompanied Odinga maintained their support for the opposition chief. They, however, criticized Governor George Natembeya for what they alluded as going against his sponsor party.
Odinga has maintained that no force, whether internal or external, will deter his push for electoral and economic reforms, even as he urges the government to work towards alleviating the dire economic situation facing Kenyans. For Sunday Express from Trans Nzoia County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Now that report brings us to the first break tonight. Do not go away. We'll be right back with more.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto.
Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
You're still watching Sunday Express. Now at least 300 families have been displaced from their homes and 3 schools closed indefinitely over recent attacks in Sabuk area in Samburu County, where suspected armed bandits killed 3 people, among them an area chief. Samburu West Member of Parliament Naisula Lesuda has condemned the attacks, calling on the government to use all tactics to restore peace in the region in order to give residents a chance to engage in gainful economic activities and allow children to return to school. Tension remains high in hard-hit areas by the attacks, making it difficult for most families to return to their homes. Ben Chumba reports.
More than 300 families displaced by bandit attacks at Sabuk area of Samburu County are reluctant to return home even after more security officers were sent to the affected areas.
Sisi tuko na shida kubwa sana ambayo hata hatujui nani atasuluhisha hiyo shida yetu. Sisi tumetoroka, tuko kwa hii kasenta kidogo, hatuna chakula, hatuna ng'ombe.
Hakuna mahali unaishi, uliacha kila kitu huko, your properties destroyed na bandits, na pia wamechukua mali yote, so tumebaki kama hatuna chochote.
In a move to avert a possible humanitarian crisis in their camps, Samburu West Member of Parliament Naisula Lesuda visited the refugees at Loibongare camp in Losuk Ward and gave them relief food.
They've left their homes, they've left their farms, they are hungry, they are living now in centers, and that is why, as their Member of Parliament, through my own contribution, I was able to bring some food for them and also some well-wishers. I really want to thank them who have reached out.
Lesuda urged the government to restore normalcy in the region.
What I would just like to request of them is that it be continuous. It cannot be a one-day affair, so that we may have total peace in this area, and also the other security issues that we have around here to be tackled, so that people can go back home, children can go back to school, and people can go back to their farms.
Tension remains high in areas hard hit by the attacks, with Pora, Sepei and Lekek Puki schools in Samburu West closed indefinitely.
Watoto wako kwa shule, wanatambaa tu tuko pamoja nao. Na ile shule watoto wako hakuna mtu anaweza kukaa hapo na mtoto yake aende hiyo shule. Hiyo shule ni shule nyingine mbaya sana, iko ndani ya wadui.
And it's very unfortunate because these children will be behind in their studies. I really hope that peace will be restored here so that the children can go back to school.
Meanwhile, border police officers want the government to issue them with new and sophisticated guns to effectively deal with terrorists along the country's borders. Speaking in Makueni during the funeral of Fidel Kimuyu, a border guard officer who is among 3 officers who died after their car stepped on a landmine in Garissa County, Border Police Deputy Commander Isaac Lima said Parliament should ensure border officers get the latest model of weapons.
Inastahili ile mpaka waje tupewe uzinani. Kwa sababu ukienda zile nchi zimeendelea, ukitembea na gari inakwambia hapo mbele 50 meters kuna kitu kimewekwa chini. Hata sisi Kenya tuko na hiyo uwezo, tukisaidiwa nao viongozi wetu. Kwa hivyo ni maombi yetu tupewe silaha ya kutosha. Sisi wenyewe tuko tayari kupambana.
Boda yetu ya Kenya ile hatari sana ni sisi na Somalia. Pia wanajeshi wakuwe pale, na niko na hakika wako na hiyo equipment wanajeshi. Wasaidiane na ofisa wetu. Tumepoteza mwingine jana ambaye anatoka Machakos, Na sasa tunaambia serikali hatutangoja kupoteza mwingine.
Huwezi tuma mtu aende kazi na ile silaha umempatia ni mwili yake. Hiyo lazima tukosane sana. Na si kusema serikali ndio imefanya mabaya sana, lakini lazima tuangalie tukifanya budgeting, priority ni nini. Hatuwezi tuma watu waende watuchunge pale ili sisi tulime na tunawatuma bila ile silaha inaitikana ili wapate protection.
Ben Chumba, Sunday Express.
Now to the courts. Now, the Supreme Court judgment that allowed LGBTQ to form association continues to draw sharp criticism from various quarters in the country. A section of clergy and politicians now say they will petition the Apex Court for a constitutional interpretation on whether the decision legalizes homosexuality in the country.
This ruling is not only repugnant but also despicable, sinful, immoral, and against acceptable Kenyan culture and natural order.
A section of the clergy has strongly condemned Friday's verdict by the top court judges that ruled that the non-governmental organization Coordination Board's decision to bar homosexuals from forming recognized groups was discriminatory, saying this is divisive for Kenyans.
We now have given a door to liberal judges to make law for 50 million Kenyans through their rulings, even when they are obviously subversive.
Led by the Evangelical Conference chairman Bishop David Oginde, the leaders say this decision could open up doors for homosexuality and same-sex marriages in Kenya.
We wish to wholeheartedly condemn the ruling by the Supreme Court of Kenya and the majority judges in this ruling, since their decision opens a door to presumed homosexual objects and purposes that are outlawed by the Penal Code, including same-sex marriages.
They called on Kenyans to remain firm and defend their faith, even as they petitioned the Attorney General regarding the matter.
We therefore, number one, petition the Attorney General to immediately invoke the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on matters of general and national importance to seek an advisory opinion on the broader concerns around the promotion of LGBTQ rights.
On Friday, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, Justice Smokin Wanjala and Justice Njoki Ndongo ruled in favor of the petition, with Justice Mohammed Ibrahim and Justice William Ouko dissenting, stating that homosexuals should not be allowed to form recognized associations in the country. The decision, which is a win for the members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer LGBTQ, gives them the power to seek formal recognition by the non-governmental organizations Coordination Board. For Sunday Express, I'm Ben Troinjue.
And we'll be keeping tabs on that particular front. Now, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to support reconstruction of the multi-million shillings beach resorts and businesses recently razed down by a fire in Watamu, Kilifi County. Now, the Ministry of Tourism plans to begin compensating small traders before assisting resort owners.
Traders in Watamu who lost millions of shillings in property in a recent fire that gutted down their businesses at Mbuyu Lodge, Mapango, SDA Church Resort and Barracuda Beach Resort have a reason to smile after the government pledged to help them in reconstruction.
Wafanya kazi wameweza kutuelezea insurance, watu insurance wanaendelea kushughulika, lakini upande wa serikali tutashirikiana nao tuone vile tunaweza kuwasaidia.
Tourism Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza, speaking when she toured the affected resort, said the government would assist them get back on their feet.
Kuna vibanda za wamama walikuwa wanauza pale nje, wameweza kuchomekewa. Wamama hawako kwa hizi association za hoteliers, hawajajiregister pale.
The CS said that they would begin with small-scale traders who had curio kiosks near Mbuyu Resort and then look for ways to support resorts in reconstruction.
Wakati tunashirikiana na hao managers na wenye hizi hoteli kubwa, pia tutashughulikia wale wamama wako pale. Kwangu ndio nitaanza nao siku ya leo. Wenye mahoteli pia nao tutahakikisha tuko na kikao katika ile association yao, tuone vile tutawasaidia kulingana na ile mipango yao wako nayo.
She was accompanied by Kilifi North MP Owen Baya, who told residents to safeguard the tourism sector as it was their main source of income.
Tuchunge hii utalii, hii ndio rasilimali yetu, hii ndio kahawa yetu, hii ndio chai yetu. Ama mnasemaje? Sasa utalii ikiharibika hapa Watamu, nyinyi tutaenda wapi? Mimi nimemleta waziri hapa hususan tuhakikishe kwamba tumejenga kwa haraka.
I really appreciate that they are here. It means that they're really taking care about the tourism. This is the most important moment maybe in the tourism life in Watamu.
One of the owners of the affected resort said they were planning to reopen in December due to the extensive damage, but with a boost in reconstruction efforts, they could do it sooner.
Tuomba msaada tusaidiwe na sisi hapa, mali yetu yote imeenda na maji, na tangu hoteli chomeke ni kuhangaika tu, hakuna chochote, hakuna wageni. Tukija tukae hapa turejea nyumbani, hatuna chochote.
Tumetegemea hii hoteli kulisha watoto wetu, kuwapeleka shule, mahitaji yote tunapata kutokana na hapa Barakuda.
Last Wednesday, property worth millions of shillings was reduced to ashes after a huge fire gutted down 3 resorts in Watamu tourism resort town of Kilifi County. The cause of the fire could not be immediately ascertained. For Sunday Express, I'm Ben Troinjue.
Period poverty remains one of the biggest challenges facing girls, especially in rural areas, due to the inability to afford sanitary towels. This challenge is said to be one among other factors contributing to teenage pregnancies. And while the government provides the products to girls in schools, those out of school, perhaps due to lack of fees, are the neglected lot. Kamcha Menza caught up with some of these girls who have become teen mothers after being lured into sexual activities in order to access sanitary towels.
Sharon, not her real name, is an 18-year-old teen mother from Kisumu. When her parents died, she was forced to drop out of school and subsequently could not access sanitary towels.
Rafiki yangu msichana mwingine akaniambia, we unakaa tu hivyo huwezi pata hata pocket. Sasa alinijidanganya nikuwe na boyfriend, halafu kujaribu tu hivyo nikapata mimba.
Josephine, also not her real name, is now 18 years. She too became a teen mother at the age of 15.
But after my dad died, I couldn't manage to get anything sababu mamangu pia alikuwa mgonjwa. Sasa mambo ya kupata chakula hata hizo pads ilikuwa ngumu. Sasa nikaamua kutafuta boyfriend. So boyfriend akanipea mimba.
Though they used to receive sanitary towels while at school, the situation changed after dropping out of school due to lack of school fees.
Sasa kupata pads lazima ukuwe na boyfriend ndiye anaweza kukupea pesa.
Nilijaribu kutumia rags. Na rag ilikuwa aibu. Hata inaweza anguka. Sasa hiyo ndo ni make decision. Sasa nipate boyfriend kanaweza feel at least.
Their ordeals are just but a few among many others that go untold. A non-governmental organization that has so far given safe spaces to Sharon and Josephine indicates that despite the tax exemption on sanitary pads, accessing them is still a challenge.
It's a call to action to our leaders to ensure that as we allocate resources, to ensure that we are setting aside resources that will help ensure that our girls and women in and out of school are able to access these products.
Nominated Senator for Women Affairs Gloria Oroba, who is pushing a motion at the Senate to legislate for adequate provision of sanitary towels to schoolgirls, says the allocation of 5 to 7 packets per girl a whole year is insufficient.
Every month you're using a minimum of 2 packets. If you do the math, we are barely getting to the point where we're saying that we're giving access to that. So I'm also trying to see how is it that we can legislate around that.
Stigma associated with menstrual cycle has also seen a number of girls lack the confidence to seek help when in need.
Most men have not been getting it easy to have a discussion with the girls or the female gender on aspect of to do with sexual reproductive health. So we empower these men and try to capacity build them for them to have those healthy talks with their children.
If the boys also understand that this is a normal thing, and they become part of the conversation, and they become part of the support system that we put around our girls during this, I would say, very confusing and difficult times of puberty when they're going through the whole menstruation thing, then we remove the issue of shame.
Yes.
We remove the issue of stigma.
Kamche Menza for Sunday Express.
Currently, at least 470 million shillings is set aside for the sanitary towel program targeting public schools, both primary and secondary, with the legislators now led by Senator Gloria Orobo there, pushing for more funds to ensure that we do not carry on with period poverty during the 21st century. It's quite sad state of affairs. Now we cross over to the counties where drugs consignment worth millions of shillings belonging to various public health facilities in Nyandarua County were recovered in a private home at Engineer Town in Kinangop Sub-County. Condemning the incident, Area Governor Carrier Badilisha said the theft of the drugs compromises delivery of healthcare services to the public, saying this will not be tolerated.
In an operation that brought together heads of security agencies and the county government led by Governor Moses Kiarie Badilisha and County Commissioner Amos Mariba, said the drugs belonging to Karagatha and Engineer hospitals are said to be stolen from the hospitals and sold at private pharmaceuticals by a medic at one of the facilities.
Immediately we left here, after a week, information came that there were no medicine in our hospitals. Then I wondered what happened. So we started investigation that time. This investigation has taken us 3 months. And we thank God today it's successful. We have been able to net drugs worth millions of shillings inside somebody's bedroom.
His sentiments were echoed by his deputy John Maratha, who urged public hospitals management to account for all drugs in health facilities to curb such incidents.
We are going to put in systems whereby we automate all our health facilities such that we shall monitor the medicines as they come in and out, such that at any given time we'll be able to know how much of our medicines that are delivered in our facilities are remaining.
Elsewhere, Safaricom Foundation, through its Ndoto Zetu initiative, has equipped 2 health centers and 1 secondary school clinic in the counties of Kiambu and Kajiado with equipment in an effort of better handling of emergency cases and reducing the infant mortality rate.
So when the med soup approached us about the health facility, we visited, we saw ourselves, and we decided to support. They applied through Ndoto Zetu, and we saw the need, and we come in handy to support.
Meanwhile, Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza has given an important update of distribution of the subsidized fertilizer and seed program to commence next week across the county.
Tumeshaanza mpango ya kuleta dawa kwa kuremisala worth milioni 130 tukaleta kwa hospitali zote. 2 weeks ago tumeleta basari milioni 120 na nimesema mwaka ujao itakuwa milioni 240.
Finally, National Environment Management Authority and National Government Administration in Kisii has committed to implementing President Ruto's directive on intensification of tree planting and water sources protection.
Kila mwananchi, kila sehemu tuweza kupanda miti kuzuia jangwa na kuzuia hali hii mbaya ambayo ni hali ya kiangazi na hali ambayo ya ukame.
Steven Wanyonyi for Sunday Express.
moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Ulimatupi wewe na wewe ni nini?
Mimi ulinipotelea nikajiuliza sasa hizi ni mashita gani? Wewe unajua wewe ndio ulikuwa best friend wangu hizo siku zote.
What to go? Nakwambia wale matope kumbe ile kitu iko na sibiti. Ili kocha sibiti yake kumbe ni 2000 km per hour. Ili nikaongeza hapo bongo ikachikana na small intestine ikachikana na bone marrow.
Saki kuesti wa time. Wewe umekuja hapa. Si uko na kitu cha kusema?
Lego nayo.
Si uniambie nasikiza I can as well multitask. Nani ajui? Nani haelewi story zako?
Nyama. Ati nini?
Haujui? Hakuna mtu mwenye.
Wewe.
Nini?
Nigeria, where vote counting began Saturday after voters came out for the general election with 3 front-runners vying to govern Africa's most populous country. A total of 87.2 million people were eligible to vote for President Muhammadu Buhari's successor, as well as the new vice president and members of the new National Assembly at around 176,000 polling stations nationwide. It is expected that the presidential elections results will be announced soon.
Saturday's voting was marred by long delays at polling stations, as well as scattered reports of ballot box snatching and attacks by armed men. Turnout appeared to be high, with many young first-time voters arriving before dawn to cast their ballots. A total of 18 political parties nominated their presidential and vice presidential candidates, with the most competitive presidential candidate being Bola Tinubu from the governing All Progressive Congress, Atiku Abubakar from the main opposition People's Democratic Party, and Peter Obi from the Labour Party. The national vote will also elect 109 senators and 360 representatives from the country's 36 states. The government has dispatched more than 530,000 security personnel, including police and soldiers, during the general election to ensure a safe and ordered voting and counting session. Counting of votes took place with staffers working under the supervision of political party representatives and observers to ensure the process goes smoothly. For Sunday Express, I am Arnold Feather.
We'll be keeping tabs on that, especially after, several clips were doing rounds on social media platforms in regard to how the situation was, given that we had the EU also there having sent its observers. Now, 2 passengers sustained serious injuries after a light aircraft they were in crash landed at the Kampi Yasamaki in airstrip, Baringa County. Now, the aircraft FYPEC, which was from Narok, landed on a perimeter wall near Sandai Resort along the shores of Lake Baringa in a mid-morning accident. 2 passengers were on board when the accident occurred, and they were rushed to the Marigat Sub-County Hospital for treatment.
Nimefika hapa wakati imeanguka tu, tukasaidia kwanza kutoa huyo mzungu mmoja alikuwa ndani na akapelekwa na gari ameenda market. Mimi nimeumia mkono hapa nikitoa juu mguu ilikuwa imekaa ndani, so mwili yote tumefuruta, lakini mguu ikakataa kutoka. So ni kitu ya kwanza kufanyika hapa, watu wote wamestuka juu ni kitu ya kwanza kufanyika huku Kamsamagi. Sasa watu wote wamestuka na tulikuwa tunahofia huenda italifuka juu tunaogopanga mafuta. So hiyo ndio watu wamestuka kwa sababu hata kusaidia ilikuwa ngumu kwa sababu watu wanaogopa tutasotomeka.
Sasa nasikia mimi sasa pengine wamelipua. Sasa mimi nakakata spiti kusongoa nyumba pande ile. Na kijana mwalimu wenzangu ndugu yangu na mchukuu.
The quick response ya machief na OCS wameweza kusecure the scene, na wenye kunini kwa ndege wamekimbishwa hospitali, na saa hii tunaelezwa wanapata nafuu, na tunashukuru wananchi wa hapa kwa sababu the good cooperation, walikuja, hakukuwa na maneno ya kuibaiba vitu kwa ndege, na after wametoa watu wakadisperse.
We wish them a quick recovery. To the political scene, Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi has urged political leaders from the county to put aside their political differences and work as a team. Wamatangi, who spoke after a meeting, the leaders, however, pledged to ensure a raft of reforms in his administration to restore confidence in the county leadership while delivering on his promises.
Kiambu County has in recent days hit headlines over leadership differences between the governor and the political leaders. This resulting in the resignation of 2 county executive committee members and the county secretary just weeks after being sworn in. Now the county boss, Kimani Wamatangi, is petitioning the leaders to make peace.
I will fight it to the end to make sure that this county restores the dignity that we had many years ago when we used to lend money to national government because of what we are doing. We are putting a fight against illicit brews, these alcoholic drinks that have messed the lives of our young people.
Wamatangi, who affirmed his commitment on his election manifesto, says he will not condone corruption. Elsewhere, Kikuyu Council of Elders have lashed out at the Azimio la Umoja coalition leaders over continued calls for mass action, saying the rallies could disrupt the economy.
Nimesikia wengine wanasema hawatabui ile rais amechaguliwa. Hiyo sasa ni kupotosha wananchi.
On the same breath, a section of former legislators from Makueni County have challenged Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka's support for the Azimio la Umoja mass action call, saying those were his personal views.
Na mama tumesema kama hakuna chakula hakuna maandamano. Na tumekataa. Kama wanataka kuleta maandamano walete chakula. Ndio tuache watoto nyumbani wameshiba tukuja kuandamana.
Wakati huu ni wakati mgumu kwa watu wote wa Kenya. Duniani kote mnajua kuna vita kule Ukraini, kuna shida pia kule Europa, na hali ya uchumi duniani si nzuri sana. Lakini hivyo lisemwe, tupe serikali ya Rais Ruto nafasi iweze kutekeleza kazi yake.
For Sunday Express, I'm Zainab Said.
Traditionally known for its mabuyu fruits, the baobab tree has been a source of food and medicine. Every part of the baobab tree is useful, from the roots, tubers, twigs, fruits, seeds, leaves, and flowers. This week on The Process, we focus on the baobab seed oil processing.
In 2020, baobab powder alone was estimated to be valued at 880 billion shillings. According to the Global Strategic Business Report on baobab powder, the market revenue is expected to rise on demand. And in addition to the baobab powder, how are other baobab ingredients produced?
Baobab is native to the African continent, typically found in sub-Saharan African countries. The baobab tree, which in Kiswahili is popularly known as mbuyu, dots the landscape of the semi-arid region. In Kenya, it grows in several counties, including Kitui, Kilifi, Kwale, Taita Taveta, Makueni, Tharaka Nithi, and Lamu. The trees have spawned thriving agribusiness in the area and beyond.
Baobab was picked as our fruit because we feel there is an amazing potential
for it to be used both in the food and in the cosmetic industry. As a food, the fruit powder is a superfood. It's very rich in vitamin C, in calcium, potassium, it's high in fiber, so it has associated nutrient content benefits.
Local communities utilize baobab leaves, pulp and seeds as a source of food. The tree is native to Senegal, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana, Benin, Kenya and Sudan, with this being a common strength across all of these countries. To commence the process, the baobab fruit is sourced from the farm. It is then transported from the farm to the company's processing plant in rural Kiambu County.
From the trees which are managed following the principles which are environmental sensitive, the ones which they don't interfere with any form of chemical. So in our production, in the field, we advise our farmers not to carry any conventional practices like spraying or harvesting from the trees which are close to roads or any other pollutant which may affect our fruits.
At the processing plant, contained in organic sacks, the fruits are offloaded from the truck and are then weighed. The fruits are then sorted, inspected and separated according to the regions they were sourced from.
We arrange them accordingly in our store so that we can know and trace the farmers' produce.
Extraction of the seeds from the fruit commences. This is done by cracking the fruit open and separating the seeds from the dry, powdery pulp.
The pod is so hard, so we must break. So that process of breaking, we call it shelling. We just use the stick to break that shell.
After deshelling, the seeds, fiber and the dry powdery pulp is extracted from each fruit by scooping out the pulp and separate it from the fibers which hold the seeds together and onto the fruits. The extracts undergo sieving to separate the dry powdery pulp, seeds and the fiber. At this point, various products are extracted: the seeds, powder, fiber and the shell.
We also use the powder for fruit. So we sell it to other companies, to other customers who want to buy the baobab powder as a fruit. As cosmetics, we extract some antioxidants from it to add that to our cosmetic range.
Baobab is classified as a superfood because its fruits are nutrient dense. The dry pulp, known as monkey bread, contains high amounts of vitamin C, calcium, potassium, magnesium, and iron, while the hard fruit shells are used as pots for beverages, food, and fuel. Stem fibers are used for making rope, leaves as vegetables, and livestock fodder, as well as jam and juice from fruit pulp, among others.
For example, the shells go towards either companies that use them for coil manufacturing, or they use it for making briquettes. These are the outer shells. The oil extraction process then commences, where the seeds are then taken through an oil expander machine to extract the oil. We don't do anything else except press the seeds at high pressures so that the seed is separated, so the cake is separated from the oil. Now, once we get the oil, we allow it to settle so that it clarifies, and that oil is what we pack as it is. So once we get the seed, we pass it through a machine, out comes the oil, and then we pack the oil after a few weeks. The oil is then packaged, and baobab oil has properties that are ideal for a wide range of cosmetic products, thus the company uses it in their range of products. Baobab oil that we have is packed either in 50 ml bottles, or we sell them in larger quantities to other manufacturing companies that use baobab oil in their processes. The oil can be used on its own, on our skin, on our hair. The baobab oil is also added to our cosmetic range, our moisturizers, our serums, our cleansers, to add a nice moisturizing component to it. And then the seed cake that we get out of our oil pressing, that one goes towards animal feed. So everything from that entire fruit is utilized towards one or another value-added product.
Jackie Wimbiru, The Process.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome, and let's get the sport. AFC Leopards labored before beating KCB by a solitary goal in a round of 17 football Kenya Federation Premier League match played at the Kasarani Stadium. Leopards scored the lone goal in the 48th minute through Jeffrey Owiti. The win moves Ingwe to position 5 on the log with 29 points, 2 behind defending champions Tusker FC, who are placed 4th. Gor Mahia, Nzoia Sugar and KCB occupy the top 3 positions. Meanwhile, defending champions Tusker FC registered a 1-0 win over Posta Rangers. Mwinyi Shami Kibwana scored the lone goal for the Brewers in the 4th minute. From Kasarani to Nyaya, where former league champions Prisons Kenya women's volleyball team trounced Nairobi Water by 3 straight sets on day 2 of the first leg of the Kenya Volleyball Federation Women's League at the Nyaya National Stadium. Meanwhile, newcomers Post Bank saw Vihiga by 3 sets to 1.
Prisons Kenya, who recently lost their league title to perennial nemesis Kenya Pipeline, took charge of the match from the onset. Just Baraza Charges won the first set 25-12 before bagging the second set 25-16. Nairobi Water fought hard in the third set but lost 25-18 to hand Prisons Kenya maximum points. Meanwhile, newcomers Post Bank saw off Vihiga by 3 sets to 1. Post Bank won the first set 25-19 before losing the second set 23-25. Vihiga showed some resilience but lost the third and fourth set 25-16 and 25-21 respectively. In another match, KCB registered a 3 straight set victory over KDF. King Rimongi for Channel 1 Sports.
Recreational football, where Kenyan teams will play against Chinese teams in an international football tournament at the Ngong Race Course in Nairobi on the 11th of March. The objective of the tournament is to strengthen the 60-year cordial relationship between Kenya and China.
Chinese football teams are stepping up their training at various grounds in Nairobi ahead of the inaugural Tsingtao Friendship Cup between Kenya and Chinese teams, and which has the objective of strengthening the 60-year-old cordial relationship between Kenya and China.
We are focused just training for our speed and the mental toughness, so we hope we can win the tournament.
4 Kenyan outfits and 2 Chinese teams will battle in the 6-a-side knockout tournament that has lucrative prizes on offer.
We want it to become a bridge between Kenya and China to make the relationship and friendship strong.
Already upbeat to feature in the event are KSJ FC and the Kenya Football Fans Federation FC.
We look forward to take part alongside our international opponents. We not only look forward to play, but also to create long-lasting relationship during the tournament.
KSJ will compete in the tournament to gauge themselves before taking part in other international championships in Tanzania, Uganda and Ethiopia. The event will be one of the many other events which will involve other sporting disciplines in the near future, with the organizers hoping to make all the championships a success.
Now, the Kenya Karate Federation is tracking the developments made by the World Karate Federation to introduce karate uniforms that have digital devices to capture points automatically whenever an athlete scores. The Secretary General of the Karate Federation, Gabriel Mutuku, said the Federation is yet to send some officials to learn about the system outside the country, where a pilot has been done prior to introducing the same in Kenya later this year. He added that the World Karate system is changing and Kenya is following closely to adhere to the best international practices that will put the country ahead in the sport and prepare players to match those at the international scene. Western Region Karate Federation is on course in developing a fixture for its inaugural league, which will commence in May. Once introduced, Western Kenya will be the third region to have karate leagues, joining Nairobi and Rift Valley regions, which are already participating in the leagues.
We are waiting for our officials to be taken out there and learn more about the systems, while we also pursue our government to purchase such uniforms.
Now we are preparing our players for the national event, upcoming national event next month. So wale watakuwa wamesinda hapa, tuna prepare ili waende wacheze national game, ndio wapate, ndio waone kama wanaweza pata kucheza kwa national team.
Now let's move on to those who say that disability is not inability. The local organizing committee for the inaugural Africa Para Games has officially opened the secretariat for the upcoming inaugural games, set to be held between the 3rd and the 12th of September in Accra, Ghana. The African Paralympic Committee, AFPC, in conjunction with the Republic of Ghana, will make history by organizing the first African Para Games as a standalone international multi-power sporting event. The president of the African Paralympic Committee, Samson Dean, says the event will be used as a qualification for the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris, France. The Games had been scheduled for Morocco in 2019, but the country pulled out late by giving a notice towards the end of 2018. Also, that's the sport for tonight, but we have to give you the latest updates coming from the world of sport. Let's first talk about Kenya Sevens, who are in Los Angeles for the World Rugby 7 Series, and they played in the 9th place semi-final against Canada, and they lost by 12 points to 5. And that means that Kenya will face host USA at 11 p.m. in the 13th place playoff. So we'll have that story for you in our sports bulletin tomorrow. Now, something that Regina will really love, being an avowed Manchester United fan, alongside Kevin, who's donning rather than a local team, is donning a Manchester United fan. So people are not giving me peace in the studio. They told me that I must say that Manchester United have defeated Newcastle United by 2-0 to win the Carabao Cup. And it was Casemiro who scored the first one and a known goal by Sven Botman. 2-0 winners, and this is the first time that Newcastle are in a final since 1999. The last time they played in a final, it was against Manchester United in the FA Cup final. Teddy Sheringham and Paul Scholes scored in that final. It ended 2-0. So a repeat of that. So the title hunt continues. Regina.
I'm so lovely. Can you take that again, that we have won? I mean, I think that's why even one Chelsea fan, John Jacob Curia, is missing from set tonight. That is after Chelsea lost in their game there. But nonetheless, we are here and we say Viva Manchester United. It's going to be a great week. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a pleasant viewing and a great start to a great week.
My name is Daniel Mohammed. For being with us.